Whoa. 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 Whoa, 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 whoa. What is up? What is happening? What is going on? I believe, if I have checked correctly, it is Monday, and that could be a good thing in your neck of the woods, could be a bad thing in your neck of the woods. Either way, that means we're going live on the internet. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Monday show, the edition of July 6, 2020. My name is Joel, otherwise known as Corvus, on this channel. It's good to be here today. I am feeling physically 88%. Psychologically, I'm coming in at about a 23. Is that good or is that bad? Who knows? They're just random numbers I threw out there, and then we got to live with it. But it is good to be here either way. I am happy and glad to be here. Lots of fun. Crazy weekend out here in my neck of the woods. Not too bad, not too good, but just a little goofy. Hanging with the baby who's over here in the corner. Let's make her fly around a little bit. On my screen, it's way more exciting than it is on your screen, so let's just stop doing that. Decent weekend. Can't complain too much other than the 4th of July, which I have to say, during a pandemic, is especially awful. Now, I am not one that is opposed to celebrations. I am not one that is opposed to the Independence Day in its own right. But I do have to admit that during a pandemic, when we have realistically, we have our animals here, we have our things going on, and it is a little bit stressful when it lasts for days and days and days and days, because the people that normally go somewhere else and light off fireworks have apparently stayed home and have lost their minds and are just blowing up stuff left and right. The dogs are stressed out. The neighborhood is stressed out. Just goofy, stupid fireworks in the neighborhood, and it is still infuriating to me, even though I've now reached the epic old age of 40 years old. 40 years on this planet. Still drives me nuts because, dude, your fireworks display is terrible compared to any professional, even the worst professional fireworks display I have seen. Outshines these people's fireworks displays by a magnitude of 300, I think. Easily. Thusly leading to having stressed out animals, worrying about some idiot burning down the neighborhood, or hurting themselves, which happens constantly, by the way. So we have animals freaked out, we have humans getting injured, loss of sleep, which I gotta tell you is just like, what the hell are you doing? I'm trying to sleep. It's the weekend, and it's 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just trying to catch some Z's. My baby's going to wake up at 6 a.m., whether you like it or not. And I know those people are unaffected by my baby waking up, but I'm affected, and it makes me cranky. So we have that personal injury, we have loss of sleep, we have stressed out animals, we have potential fire damage. We have wasted money. These people have wasted so much money on these fireworks. So we have wasted resources on top of it during a pandemic, and I have to admit, it drives me nuts. I get it. I like blowing up stuff, you guys. I love blowing up stuff. I think it's so much fun to, blow up an old microwave or something like that. I'm a big fan. But why not do it at 4 p.m.? I don't know. I feel like I'm an old man now complaining about stuff that I have no control over, so my apologies. But I hope everyone was safe, didn't burn yourself or blow yourself up or ruin your ears and end up with tinnitus like I have. I'm just saying, hopefully everybody worked out, and I'm just saying, I'm turning into, Darren's right here. He says, I guess when you hit 40 like me, you turn into that get off my lawn guy. Yeah, and I think that's the reality, is that, there is a point in everybody's life. I think some people reach it earlier than others. Some people reach it later. It's not that I'm a buzzkill or anything like that. It's just, it's personally affecting me, and there isn't really much I can do about it, because I can't just tell people to go watch the fireworks somewhere else, because they're all stuck home. We're all stuck home. It's a pandemic. I'm literally trying to do the show and find a plug for that light right there, and I'm not finding it, so I'm going to stop doing that. But yeah, just a little bit crazy. Paula Kreinberg says, the Popo finally cracked down on the fireworks here, confiscated a truckload. Yeah, I was getting to the point, I'm not somebody that's going to call the police about stuff, but, who are you going to call, in that situation? It's a noise ordinance violation. Apparently down here you just get a ticket. So, I don't know. I was waiting till 10 o'clock, and if it was still ridiculous, I was gonna, I don't know, call somebody or something. I don't know. I don't know who I was going to call. Maybe I was going to just call my grandma and be like, hey, Grandma. Who knows? You never know. But it was definitely irritating and just an extra stressor during a pandemic. Dave's Aquarium says, my wife gets more stressed out than my dog did. The dog is a next level stressed out. I have to admit that exacerbates my whole situation here. The dog is having serious panic attacks, and it's nonstop. It's just not going. It's not going to stop. The dog's freaking out, and it's ridiculous, And then it's like I have to. We spend all evening trying to calm the dog down, which is really? It's supposed to be 4th of July. Supposed to have the day off. Supposed to be able to calm down, sit out in the sun, hang out with the baby. But, no, we're over here stressing out about our dog, whether or not the dog is taking too much anti-anxieties and stuff, medication or not. It's just goofy. But love the damn dog. So what am I supposed to do? Janice is wondering if there's buffering, and I look like I'm good on my end, so it might be just a reload situation on yours. Hextank Apologist says, my apartment complex has a strict no fireworks policy. Well, I'll tell you this much. There's literally so many fireworks around here that it wouldn't matter if there was none, in my direct neighborhood. It wouldn't matter. There's just gigantic explosions going off, so from the distance, it's shaking the house, what? And a lot of that has to do with the military base around here. Not only do we have a gigantic military installation, we have other military installations, and we also have native reservations here where people can kind of buy semi-legal fireworks, you know what I'm saying? We have multiple native reservations around here. We have the Puyallup and what's the other one? Can't remember it off the top of my head. Sorry, it's not, those of you out there that have been following the show for a long time, we're close to the natives here. We are. right? Yeah, we are. On multiple levels. If you guys don't know, Vicky Toria is native. So now, the baby is. If you didn't know. But let's bust into the chat here a little bit. Oh, my lordy. We have a super chat from the Fish Tank Barn, who I believe... Now, I don't know if I want to get this wrong, so I'm going to look it up. Let's click over here, and we go to www. Hold on, I got to put the www in here. www.youtube.com. Let's load that up, and let's get into the search bar, and let's go the Fish Tank Barn, and make sure I hit the right buttons on the old keyboard here. Look at that. We have 1.5 thousand YouTube subscribers for the Fish Tank Barn. What was his newest video one day ago? The Epic Summer Tub Tour, which I would highly recommend anybody to check out. But thanks for the $5 super chat, my guy. I 100% appreciate it. And congratulations on 1.5 thousand subscribers. That's awesome. If you guys aren't a fan of the Fish Tank Barn, I don't know. What have you been doing? Come along for the ride. I have to admit, my man Mike is just getting better and better and better at YouTube. And I have to say, I appreciate it. I love Mike. He's such a great guy, and I do hope to be able to travel again someday. I don't know. With the pandemic, who knows when we'll be able to ever travel again. We can't even go to Europe or Asia or anywhere now. We're banned as Americans. As me being an American, I am banned from... I can't even go to Mexico anymore. So, we'll see if we ever get to travel ever again. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to make any kind of predictions because I'm going to end up being wrong, likely, about coronavirus predictions, but doesn't look good. Doesn't look good in the U.S., I will say that. The rates of it's a nightmare, and I don't even want to talk about it. Pandemic, there we go. We talked about it. In the UK, we have a bonfire night, and depending on which day it falls on, it can go on for nearly a week. I mean, you know, a bonfire is tenable. I could deal with a bonfire if people were just chilling, having fires, though there might be a burn ban going on. So that might screw up that whole thing. If people were banned from having fires, which that's what a burn ban is around here. So those of you that are international or maybe the rest of the U.S., you don't know what a burn ban is. Either the risk of fire is too high. So I'm surrounded by mountains, the ocean, and gigantic forests on all sides. So if the risk of forest fire gets too high, they're like, hey, yo, no more fires, bro. Until further notice, we'll let you know. But there also is another exception for the burn ban, and that would be the air quality index, which is such an awesome thing to, people get mad at me because they're like, oh, what are you, some kind of blah, 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 liberal or whatever. I would say if I fall in a category, I would put myself in the category as probably the progressive would probably be where I would categorize myself. And I will say this, the air quality monitoring and index here, as far as the Pacific Northwest goes, is quite accurate, tracking all of the pollen, smoke, car exhaust, all that kind of stuff as air moves in and out. We get, if anybody's into meteorology, I don't know. I'm completely saying that wrong. There's a light going off in my head that I'm saying that incorrectly, but I think you get what I'm saying. Weather forecasting, that's a better way, right? Then we get high pressure zones around here where the air doesn't move for a while. They will throw a burn ban in for that. And I don't know if anybody just learned anything. Probably not, but it feels like fun to have talked about it on this show here. If you are new to this show, we got to do our segment real quick called how many people are helping sponsor this show? We don't have a name for the segment. I just realized that I was about to say that we're going to do a segment, but I don't have a name for the segment. I guess we call it the fart noise thing that's loud, and here's how many sponsors we got. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's the new name for this segment. It's called Farts Loud. How many people are farting loud by supporting the show by being either a Patreonizer or a member on YouTube? That's the new segment. It's pretty dope, I got to admit. Anyhow, let's move on. The Patreon numbers, we've gone up to 236, and I would like to give a big thank you to our biggest supporter of the weekend, which of course, my email over here just refreshed and it went away, so let's reload that part. Lucy, thank you very much for increasing your monthly patronage from $1 to $35. Like, wow, that's huge. That's big time. Thank you very much, you guys, for upping. And the very, very kind message that I forgot to respond to because I got it on my phone. And then I forgot to respond to it, and I haven't done email replies and stuff since sometime last week. I don't know. But I will get to you sending you guys a much more cordial message. Thank you very much, guys, for your patronage and sponsoring the show. If you don't know out there in the world, if you're just like an average person that's interested in fish tanks and me yammering on about whatever it is that I'm here talking about, I understand from the outside looking in. People go like, wow, you do YouTube and you make a ton of money. We make just enough money to keep the lights on around here doing this show. That's kind of where we're at right now because of the coronavirus really knocked off our support. It also knocked off any kind of advertising monies that come in and stuff like that. So it really does boil down to people on Patreon and YouTube members supporting the channel. And so I like to keep people updated on what's happening during the live stream. And big thanks to... Okay, what the... I had my stupid thing pulled up over here, and then forget what I was doing. I looked something up, and now I got to push the buttons so I can get the accurate number of YouTube members. YouTube members went up over the weekend, and then it went back down to the exact same number that we're at now, so that's pretty easy to update. YouTube members 94. Thank you very much, guys. And moving on to what I wanted to talk about in the early chat, which was coming in from Mitch Norton, who didn't realize that we chat before the show starts. So we do a little typing with our fingers whenever that goes up, maybe an hour before the show or something like that. People are in there in the chat talking and oftentimes bring up some good points like this, which had to do with dealing with blackbeard algae. And Mitch Norton did an extended dip into the hydrogen peroxide for 5 minutes, and a lot of his plants melted. And I will say, this is something that has happened on many occasions. It's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily tell people like, hey, hydrogen peroxide for the blackbeard algae. It's really not the best way to go. The first thing I would recommend to people is make sure that you have CO2 aplenty to make sure that your plants can grow and outcompete the blackbeard algae. Oftentimes this will work out to your benefit and will generally work its way out. Oftentimes you could be low on things like potassium, stuff like that, which is why I recommend a comprehensive fertilizer as opposed to, really specific fertilizers that gets really complicated. So nowadays in the year 2020, I recommend, whether it be Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op, maybe Thrive from Nicole G. I don't know how to say his company name, but Thrive is the comprehensive, or Seachem's comprehensive, or Tropica has a comprehensive. There's so many comprehensive fertilizers out there now. I personally use Easy Green. I found that to be the most effective for me, and I also do work with Aquarium Co-op, so be aware when I recommend Easy Green, I do get mine for free. Otherwise, so just a heads up to people out there like, huh, what? I do get mine for free. Relatively, it's sort of a trade-off. Like I trade off some work, I get some Easy Green, but I do generally get the bottles and stuff that are broken. So in the shipping, some of those bottles will get broken and stuff when they come in the big giant boxes and things like that, or the cap will pop open somehow and spill all over and they can't sell it. That's the ones that I end up getting anyhow. So, yeah, I guess take it with a grain of salt, but I do recommend it. My tank that has like over 50 different plants all growing in it right now, I use Easy Green in there, and I feel like that's a testimonial of like, that fertilizer works. I'm using it in there. There you go. Bunch of plants. It's all good. Punchy Paints is here. What's up, Punchy Pam? Good to see you. And I also saw Mr. Joel Gillett, New Zealand. And I saw Alyssa Bentley and Bentley Pascoe, who are our moderators. So shout out to my moderators. What's up? And I saw a post here from Ariel, which was, Joel, I'd sent you a Facebook message a couple weeks back. Didn't get a response, but that's okay. My beta is doing fine. I will say this. I don't know what's up with Facebook, Messenger, all that kind of stuff. I don't count on Facebook operating properly, realistically. If you're not like in my friends list or whatever on there, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're a member or a Patreon, you have access to the Discord. I can say that is a great way to communicate with me if you want to. And some people say, well, yeah, I got to pay to get on there. And it's like, yeah, well, if you're just chatting to me about, something going on with one of your plants or something like that, that's my time. And that's generally my work time. And there is only 24 hours in the day. So, yeah, the people that sponsor the show do get moved to the front of the line. People that are involved on the Discord get moved to the front of the line because not only are you a part of our community, but you're also somebody supporting the channel. And I don't know what to tell somebody that can't afford to support the channel or whatever. I'm not asking for anybody to chip in their last dollar or anything like that. If times are tough, buy food, pay your rent. That takes tons of precedence over messing around with your fish tanks anyhow. So keep that in mind. But also on top of it, I'm not asking anybody to put themselves out to the point where, you're at your last dollar or something like that. That's for sure. But yeah, that's kind of, this is my job. I also work other jobs, but this is my job that I would like to be my only job, and that's kind of the goal. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's confusing. But, Chevy Fish is driving, watching the road, not chat. Well, that's good. That's good. Don't be watching chat if you are driving around. Don't do that. That is wicked dangers, and you might crash your car there, guy. Don't go out there, crash your car, guy. It's a problem. Be careful. I used to get so mad when my kids were infants. Finally get them to bed, and an hour after sleep, the shock and awe campaign is going off in the alley. Yeah, that also was definitely a concern that Olivia was going to wake up, but she woke up once on the 4th, once on the day before. So I guess I really can't complain too much because, we kind of go in and rock her and put her back to sleep after, 10 minutes, she's back in bed. So I wasn't super concerned about that. I was super concerned about a dog stressing out for 24 hours, then 48 hours, then 72 hours. Bitty Brown Dog was not getting the kind of sleep and time that she needs to recover, and it was just becoming a point of man, I am not sure what to do with this dog, and That is stressful to me, because that dog's like panic attack, panting, freaking out, running around, had peed on the ground and peed in the house, and that dog does not pee in the house. You know what I'm saying? That dog will go sit by the back door and be like, "Let me out. I need to go pee." So it's stuff like that that's just completely out of the norm. Luckily, the baby was okay. We'll see how that continues to go on. Somebody was asking something plant related, and now I don't see it. I wanted to talk about it, but now I can't see where it went. Joel G said Australia gone downhill big time. Some people in some horrible situations. That I don't know. Are we talking Australia corona? Let's see what's going on in Australia. I think he's talking about the coronavirus. Australia coronavirus outbreak forces state's border closure for first time in a century. Woo. Okay, I guess it's going crazy in Australia. Wow. Australia to close Victoria and New South Wales. Okay, I get it. Apparently, the coronavirus is out of control in Australia. I did not know that. I will read up on this after the fact. I was going to be on what does he go by? Black? What is he? Was he Dr. Black 66, right? Oop, that's a 55. 66. Yeah, that's what he goes by. He goes by Dr. Black 66. Yeah. I was going to be on his live stream, I think, sometime last week, but I'll probably be on there this week. And we'll get some firsthand account from the Aussies. From the Aussie. I'm not saying the other part. Someone else say it in their car. Darren DeRue says, I have the Nylock G. I think that's how he says it, but I know him as Colin. I know the guy. I've met him a bunch of times. So I know him as Colin. So it's pretty, it's weird for me to say the Nylock G thing because that's the name it's his name backwards, right? It's Colin backwards. So, it is a bit confusing to me to how to say the Nylock G or even if it is a word, you know what I mean? Rest in peace, Charlie Daniels, for those who care. Yeah, I saw that earlier today. I will say he was I think he was 83 years old, which is not Charlie Daniels. I think he was 83. Let me see. Oops. I think he died. Yeah, he died at 83 from a stroke. I'm not saying oh wow, that's good that he passed away. I'm saying he lived to be 83. It's kind of expected that something can kick off at that point, like a hemorrhage, which is, I believe, what he had. Let me see. A stroke. I mean, he has stroke, which is, it's awful. It's awful when anybody passes away, but I definitely had some conflicting opinions with some of the stuff that he's come up with over the years. So I don't know that I was really tracking along with him that well at this point, but I don't know. To each his own, and rest in peace. And I don't even know if he'd made a record that. Well, I mean, it's rude to say this, but I don't know that he made a record that I really was interested in the time since I think The Devil Went Down to Georgia was in 1979. So, I did mention to you guys that I am 40 years old, which means that he hadn't really written a hit record since before I was born. So I don't I don't know how influential it was at this point, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings, and I don't know that it sucks. But I don't know. I'm in the middle. I guess I'm in the middle, and I'm kind of just in a weird spot with it, I guess. I don't know. Punchy Paints went to see him at the in concert at the Gorge, and I have something going on with my nose, so I don't know what it is. Hold on a second. I don't know. I have something going on with my nose that's like weird. I don't know. It feels like there's like a hair or something. Like maybe I have like a hair on my face. It's really weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a stroke now. Not that that's fun to joke about or anything, but something weird going on. The master of spaghetti western sound. Yeah. Let me go through the chat here. Oh, I don't know if I gave a shout out to whoever was first to the chat today. Alyssa Bentley, Frank Dominguez, and Michael Sarr. So I'm caught up on that. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't wish harm on anybody. And I was a fan of some of his music or whatever, but I wouldn't say it was like wildly influential in any of the facets of my life. So I don't know. Like I said, it just kind of like, that's a drag. Fab4 is here. Says, hey, sir, I'm adding bronze Cryptocorini Wenditii to my tank stock. I really like the mature look. Have you kept this in any of the normal recommendations, or will it be just like the rest? Yes, I have bronze Cryptocorini Wenditii in. I think it's in the 240. Yeah, I took it out. I had it in the 150, and I moved it to the 240 a while ago. It's in like behind stuff, so you guys as YouTube viewers will probably hardly ever, if ever, see it. But yeah, it's a really easy crypt to grow. It typically will melt when you move it around in the tank. CO2 is pretty basic. Fertilizing is pretty basic. I wouldn't even say you need any kind of special substrate or anything to grow it. I've grown it in just kind of crushed gravel and stuff. Is not going all crazy and stuff like that. As long as you have a stable tank, I think it should be fine. Yeah, nothing really too out of the realm of like, oh man, you got to do something special. It's not really anything that you'd have to do that much. That's special. Joel G says there's these housing estates with thousands of people inside, 500 police outside threatening them with pepper spray. Oh, I know there was a lot of that stuff going on in China previous to the coronavirus really getting out here. There was a lot of people being locked down by police and pepper spray, and you guys can go find the videos. I don't have them, but they were making their way out of China. People were sharing them about what was going on, and it's really unfortunate to see the police being utilized that way, although I will say I don't think that the United States policing is really doing anything all that differently. You know, they're just doing it for different reasons, which will bring us today's let me get my link. I want to make sure I have my link, though. I may have lost it. Copy. Which brings us to our new segment. I'm introducing a new segment today, and we'll find out if people like it or if they don't like it, because you might not like it. And for whatever reason, you might not like it. But today, we're going to be going over to the book club, which means I put on my old-timey screen, and I put the book up on the screen, and we go kind of black and white, and then you guys can see stuff in the background like a microphone on a stick back there. That's a microphone on a stick. Welcome to the book club. It's a book club in the black and white old-timey camera. I haven't worked on the intro yet. Sorry about that, guys. The intro's not very good, but it hopefully will improve. Today, I'm about to add an Amazon link, which, by the way, I have to put a disclaimer on it via the Federal Trade Commission says, if you buy stuff through my Amazon link, I'm an Amazon affiliate, and it will give us the advertising commission. So money will get dispersed in this direction if you go through Amazon links and then buy stuff. Doesn't matter what you buy. Doesn't change the price. But just so you know, now you know. Anyhow, today's book is by Richard Rothstein. And I might be saying Rothstein. It might be Rothstein. I'm not sure. But it's one or the other. Very admirable guy who has been for a long, long time doing a lot of speaking engagements and things about some of the disparity in the United States, which I feel like this is a segue from the police state thing I was talking about, right? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of protests and things going on in the United States about things like the content of this book right here. Some people that I have been speaking to over the years have easily deflected and easily acted like, oh, that's not a big deal. Oh, that's not a problem. Oh, that's not really a thing. Well, Richard Rothstein here has actually done the work and compiled it into a book for you to read with your eyeballs and process with your brain. Now that you've read it with your eyeballs and processed the information with your brain, you will be able to garner some kind of opinion after having taken those steps, right? You're going to have to read through some of the history of how our country in the United States essentially segregated all of our population in our neighborhoods. Now, earlier today, my friend, my good friend, Zenzo Tazawa, shared a short clip from, I don't know who compiled it. I can't remember who compiled it, of Richard Rothstein, I don't know, his speaking engagements of talking about these issues. Whether that's important to you or not, that's up to you. But this book right here, I feel like, is a pretty darn good $10 being spent. I believe the paperback is $9.99. This is the book I'll be reading over the next probably week or so. Once it gets here, I think it shows up on Saturday or whatever. I decided to order my own copy because just having read articles and stuff like that is kind of a waste of time when I could dedicate a little bit of time to a book. So I'm going to be reading this book over the next whatever week or so, or I think it comes on Saturday, and then after that. Highly recommend taking a look, learning about some of our history via the research of an independent person researching legitimate things that happen in the United States. And whether you think this is an issue for you or not, I still implore you to research this stuff and find out what's been going on in the United States for the last 100 years. This may or may not change your perspective, but at the very least, you'll have more knowledge and more information to just kind of aid you in your day-to-day life so that you can help make decisions. But this highlights something that I have talked about for a long, long time. I've been screaming and yelling at people about this kind of stuff for probably since I was like 14 or 15 years old, when I was working really hard to research a lot of this stuff, but just because of the disparities that are going on in the world and things I was up to at the time. And so this is a worthwhile book, in my opinion. Check it out if you like. And we are done with the book club this week. I didn't see anybody say anything. I bet a lot of people left. They got super pissed because they don't want to read books, which is fine. To each your own. Do your own thing. But I will continue to read and learn and research as much as I can for the rest of my life. And I feel like it would be a good thing for you too. You specifically, just anybody. Literally anybody. And I'm using literally correctly, at least this time, right? All right, moving on. Let's go back to the regular show where we talk about some fish stuff and everything. Priscilla M.K., as a European living in the United States, I was mind blown when I found out it hasn't been that long since a racial separation was a thing. We'll have to get this book. Yes, this will actually highlight to you actually the steps of how it sort of accidentally happened, and then a few people were able to essentially guide some of the programs into the wrong direction, which is one of the reasons why I pen myself as a progressive. Like, I think that regulation, I think that expanding the ability to not only self-regulate, but regulate all of these big systems that are constantly just moving and shaking around the world, I think it's more important to take those steps so that there are more people involved and seeing what is going on, as opposed to thinking, whoa, we need a CEO for $400 billion worth of projects. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's a great idea, especially when you think just the United States population is, 335 million people. It's weird that only a very small group of people would be at the tiller, you know? This isn't a boat. We don't need a captain. We need a consortium of intelligent people making proposals that people can vote on. I think, Dave's Aquarium says, good timing for book club since my family and I are heading away to a cabin for a week in a few days. Yes, fantastic book, especially for kind of cabin downtime, not distracted, which would give you a chance to read to read a good book with a lot of information to kind of absorb. Good time. Darren DeRoos, did you know if the C in Thrive, C is a legitimate carbon source? I bought it because I have low-tech tanks and I don't think I need as much nitrates that are in the regular Nylock G. Seems to work. I would guess that that there is a free form of carbon. It's actually pretty easy to add that free form of carbon to comprehensive fertilizers now, since that's been readily available and not a trade secret anymore, because enough people figured it out that they basically like, oh, well, now we could all do that, basically. Now, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not a fertilizer manufacturer myself, but I think the big part of that freeform carbon is glutaraldehyde. I might be 100%. I might be 100% off base on that, but I think that's basically what it boils down to: is that somebody figured out that it was glutaraldehyde from, which is an algicide, and I think that's how that happened. But I wasn't there personally, and I would say realistically, yeah, it's probably fine. But I personally, in my personal experience, adding carbon via liquid form just never really worked out well for me personally, mainly because, buying a tank and running a regulator on a timer is way easier for me and realistically cost effective when you get down to it, because a 20-pound tank of CO2 that I do on the trade-in, so I'm basically just trading in the empty tank for a full tank, I believe is like $26. So that is enough to run like 4 of my tanks for, and unless something is wrong with the system, it generally is good enough for months. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I put that $26 onto one tank and it's gone after a month. It's like, that's 4 tanks for months, and I'm about to make that more accurate over the next couple of weeks, so that the next time I swap it out, I will be able to figure out exactly how long that is. And I keep forgetting to write the date on there, but I will be writing the date next time I swap it out when I change to a different CO2 system from the one that I'm using now. Bracken is here. What's up, Bracken? Says, good books to help clear the fog is always nice. I am always hearing crazy things that people just make up on the spot. A lot of people do make up stuff on the spot. That's just a reality of humans. They're just doing stuff. Dave says, time to jump in the pool with the kids. It's 95 there. Catch the rest on the replay. Yeah, it was too it's too nice here today. It's like 74, I think. A little breeze. It's just lovely outside, I have to admit. It's just really nice. I think I'm caught up with the chat. Let's see what else is going on. People think this stuff happened so long ago, but not really that long ago. Yeah, I have mentioned to people that recently some folks we were talking to, or that I was talking to on Facebook, seemed confused about the voter ID laws that are going on. Now, I'm all for people having ID, photo ID, identifying themselves, being able to vote. That stuff is very important to me, and I think that whole system should be streamlined. I think everybody should be registered to vote. But if you're talking about photo ID laws, one of the things that I think some people are confused about is that if you're going to require photo ID, you have to provide it for free. So it has to be some kind of valid identification that is provided for free. Otherwise, you're breaking the 24th Amendment, which I would imagine that most Americans are pretty invested in maintaining the amendments, right? And the 24th Amendment, I believe, was enacted only in like 1964 or 7. I don't know. Let me see. 24th Amendment went in. It was revised in 1992. When did it go? 1964. It was ratified in 1964. Okay, so I was right. 1964. Something was revised in 1992. Oh, that's just the Constitution Project. Okay, yeah. So, like, the 24th Amendment of the Constitution only went into play in 1964, which there are a ton of people that are alive since 1964. You know, it's like there's a ton of people that have been alive since 1964. Charlie Daniels was born way before 1964 and just passed away today. What's his birthday? Let's see. Charlie Daniels. When was he born? He was born in 1936. Now, I'm no math wizard, you guys. I'm not a wizard. But I'm thinking 1964, he was a grown man. And a big part of that is most people didn't realize that people had to pay to vote. They put a poll tax in place so that, guess what? Poor people, people that just couldn't afford it, couldn't go vote. You just couldn't go vote. You're like, hey, man, it's going to cost you money. So, and like that only happened in 1964, right? That's not that long ago. That's not very long. So 40 plus 16 is still 56. So anybody over the age of 56 has been, was alive. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Was around when that happened. It's not like the stuff that happened in the 1700s. You know what I'm saying? Which, so Bracken pointed out, just updated my license the other day and updated my voting info, which is nice that it gives you the option, at least in Washington. Now, that's the thing. We live in Washington State, so Bracken and myself, along with Steve and Big D Smoke and who else is from Washington? Bentley, Alyssa, and a couple other people in the chat. We're all from Washington State. Now, to register in Washington State is quite easy. There's many methods to do it, like when you get your license renewed, because you're there in person. They can verify who you are. We have a social security number. But one of the things that most people don't realize is like all of our voting in Washington State is by mail. So generally speaking, when I talk to people in Washington State, they're like, dude, voting is so easy. Why don't you do it? Well, because in Washington State, it is quite easy to vote. It has been implemented that your ballot is sent here to your house. It's a verified ballot, like it has your name on it. It has barcodes on it that says it's you, that kind of stuff. You get to vote. You just seal it up in this own envelope, send it back, and your vote gets counted and that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy to vote here. A lot of places in the U.S., it's not that easy. And a lot of states are keeping people from voting because of things like that. And my argument was, cool, you have an opinion. That's great. Like, you want to do a thing, but why isn't the thing that you're doing to overturn the amendment to the Constitution then? If that's what you really want to do. And then it's like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to overturn any amendments to the Constitution. It's like, okay, well, what you're trying to do is break an amendment to the Constitution then. It's kind of weird. T. Frakes Tanks, what's up, dude? He says, hey, Joel, hope all has been with blah, 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 blah. Hope all has been well with you. I don't know how to read today. I'm sorry. T. Franks, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Priscilla MK, same in Colorado. It's by mail and has been for years. Yeah, I forget which states are mail-in. Which states are all mail-in voting in the USA? Let's just kind of see what we get. I think we can get it pretty easily here. It should be something that's easy to search. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe not. Which ones? Give me a simple list. Let's see. State statutes, all mail elections. Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. So 5 out of the 50. Well, that's 10% of the states. Turns out 10% of the states have all mail-in elections, which I will admit, these are all states that I would consider moving to. Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and I already live in Washington, so duh. But those are all states I would consider moving to. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Jerry X says, isn't mail voting open to abuse? Actually, there's so few instances of that actually happening. I don't know how that became a talking point. But here's the crazy thing. Not only do you have a paper document that has like a timestamp on it because it's been in the postal system, right? But you also have the paper document of you actually voting. You also have the electronic record of them having sent it to you. So they printed it to you, they sent it to you, So there's just so few instances of mail voting fraud. Considering like mail-in voting has been going on since the First World War, I think. All of our soldiers do it. It's, mail-in, let's see, mail-in voting history U.S. Let's see what we get here. I think it started, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants full citizenship rights, including voting rights to all men born naturalized. Well, that didn't work. We're mail-in voting. What happened? Voting by mail, absentee voting. When did it begin? 1923, entirely by mail in 1923. So it's been around at least 100 years, right? Let's see. Open. Oh, this is going to be a long article. Which is crazy to think because, like, women were only allowed to vote since 1920. So it's been around at least that long. I think it's good to go. And just the history of fraud with the mail-in voting is just absurdly non-existent, especially compared to like all the weird all the weird things that have happened over the years with like closing polling stations and, you know, all that stuff. You know, it just doesn't really exist. Let's see. Let's get back to fish stuff. We got a fish question. An Aussie chemist answered this topic in the Apisto forum when I asked about it. From what I've heard, glutaraldehyde is some kind of concentrate, is also used in chems for cleaning the inside of oil tankers, shipping boats. I believe so, at a much higher concentration, though. Now, what most people kind of don't realize about chemicals is that most chemicals at an extremely high concentration are wildly caustic, right? Now, any kind of chemical that is caustic typically has some kind of cleaning application, because, you know, you put a caustic chemical on something, it's going to clean off whatever's on it, is just kind of the really dumb way to explain it that I'm giving right now, because I'm not even prepared to talk about chemicals realistically. I'm just kind of letting you guys know off the cuff. But glutaraldehyde, in my knowledge, they use it for a bunch of weird industrial applications, including cleaning. But it is heavily diluted when you get it from Seachem or whatever fish company out there. It's diluted to the point where I personally know that you can dose a triple dose of the recommended amount every single day for 2 weeks straight, and it will kill all the blackbeard algae in your aquarium. I have a video about it that's like super old. One of these days I'll do a new version of that video that is kind of better explanation and stuff. But I feel like that's a video that needs some graphics and some explanation and things, and I just can't afford to hire anybody to do that stuff now, and I have way too much work on my plate to try and redo that video. That's my thought process around it, is like, but I can explain other stuff in videos, so that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now. I feel like there would be a day where I could actually hire an animator or something like that and be able to do more of those videos, but I have no idea when that day will come. I don't know. I really don't. Aquaseekin, what's up? Long time member too. Look at that. You've got the Snake Plissken. You got the Snake Plissken badge. I like that. Hi there. Wondering if you've planted corkscrew rush in any tank with being in a shallow pot. Corkscrew rush. I'm not sure what corkscrew rush. I don't know what that is. Without kind of looking it up. Oh, Juncus, I'm saying this wrong. Juncus effusus, spiralis. Now that I'm actually looking at the non-street name and a picture of it, I have never put this in an aquarium. I have grown this outside, and then it died in the winter, and then I grew it outside again, and then it died from something else. And a cool terrestrial plant, I have never put the Juncus effusus. I know I do 100% recognize the Juncus effusus spiralis tag on it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this plant. I bought a couple pots of this at like Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that a couple different times, and did fairly well with growing it outside, but I've never done, never even tried to put it into an aquarium. Didn't cross my mind, especially at the time, but now that I'm seeing that some people throw it in a pond, so could be doable. Could definitely be doable as a pond plant, but I don't see any representation of this growing underwater. So my initial response would be probably not a great idea. You might be able to get away with it for a little while, but I just wouldn't try. But it appears there's enough people off this kind of cursory glance that I'm making right now that are growing this as a pond plant, just kind of floating. So could be rad. I'd give it a try if you got it at an affordable price. I would just go for it. Oh, there's somebody who's got it in their koi pond right there, so that's pretty dope. I'd give it a try if you could get it for a reasonable price. This one has it listed at $959, which seems totally extreme price-wise to me, so I wouldn't purchase that, but Who knows? It seems really doubtful to me that I would have spent the better part of $1,000 on that plant. So my guess is it's probably cheaper at like just a regular store. Excuse me. Mickey M says, and he wrote, the plant will be happy to use it as it doesn't have to spend a lot of energy to stitch together the CO2 molecules, but basically gets a 5-carbon unit for free. Glutaraldehyde is a 5-carbon compound that looks a bit similar to some intermediate stages in the glucogenesis and can kind of sneak into the process. Yeah. I mean, that sounds accurate. I would have to look it up and kind of do the work on it to figure out how accurate that statement is, but it sounds pretty darn close to off the cuff glutaraldehyde. I wouldn't say that I'm a glutaraldehyde expert. It's not something that I work with on a regular basis. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not a manufacturer, so I guess refer to a manufacturer or something like that, but I have messed with it a lot in my years, and I even bought the industrial thickness stuff at one point, which is the semi-dangerous stuff, and diluted it down, but I wouldn't recommend the average person doing that. It can be really unsafe. TNC Complete sell a CO2 that has only 2% of that glutaraldehyde. That sounds about right. I think we dilute ours down to like 3% or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, even at low doses, it messes up how Val does photosynthesis. Oh, yeah. Who was asking? Mitch. Is it true that it melts Valsneria? Yes, it will melt your Valsneria, dosing that into a tank. I've certainly seen that happen. I don't grow Valsneria personally. I don't know if I'm getting some in. I have a plant project coming in that I think you guys will be stoked for because we'll be making a bunch of videos about it. I have to find my... Nope, there's my shipment. Let's see if I'm getting Valsneria in. Nope. I don't see Valsneria in this order, so my guess would be probably at a later date. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I got some plants coming in that'll be a kind of a cool thing that I think you guys will like. Sponsored by the Aquarium Co-op, so hopefully you guys will like that. I think it'll be a fun video series. Apparently 10 plants are coming in, and I'll be tracking them day by day, and then you guys will be able to see what it's like on how to do what it is to do when you get them in. Plants make glucose by taking CO2 and stitching it together into longer carbon chains. First, they make units 3 carbons long for most plants. This happens in the Calvin cycle. I don't know what the Calvin cycle is. I don't know if that's like someone else. Copy. Let's take a look at that. Control V, the Calvin cycle. Oh. Turns out I'm dumb. Yeah, the Calvin cycle is carbon fixation, reduction phase, carbohydrate formation, then comes in the ATP, the G3P, regeneration phase, and the cycle begins again. Yes, so the chloroplast, it's in between carbon formation and regeneration phase, so the chloroplast comes in as that cycle. So it's basically carbon fixation, so CO2 binds to the RUBP sugar and will help from Rubisco. Is that confusing enough for you? And then moves into the reduction phase, which the 3-PGA is converted into 3-GP. Then goes into carbohydrate formation, which the 3-GP gets turned into carbohydrates right there, and then goes back into regeneration phase, which the G3P and the ATP used to make RUBP. Right back again. Cycle, and continues to do that. Yep. Had a little brain fart there and forgot the Calvin cycle, but I always forget that it's named the Calvin cycle because I think Um, I think if I can recall correctly, there's something. It's like carbon fixation is what it's normally referred to in my neck of the woods. Whether that's, I don't know, whether that's regional or something, I don't know. It seems to be that mostly it's always been referred to as carbon fixation cycle along with photosynthesis. But the Calvin cycle, there it is right there. And I do recall learning that. But also, I'm kind of a dumb idiot that's been hit in the head a lot. So we gotta take everything with a grain of salt sometimes. But yeah, it sounds right. Yeah. Jake D is here for some live stream shenanigans. Yes. Yes, my guy. Yes. Jerry X from Priscilla responding to Jerry X says a lot of other countries do it and it works. Yeah, I think, back on the voting thing there for just a second. 100% we know for a fact about 100 million people didn't vote in the last election. We have a really low turnout voting rate here in the U.S., and that needs to change. We need to get everybody to vote. And I know it's super, unpopular for whatever reason, but I have brought to the table a few times that a day like the 4th of July, we should have been voting on the 4th of July instead of lighting things on fire. Maybe we could have done fireworks also, but what's more patriotic than voting? Right? We have labor we have Labor Day, we have Independence Day, we have President's Day, we have Memorial Day, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, we have Thanksgiving, we have Halloween. We have all these holidays, and none of them we vote on. We got to vote on a weird Tuesday. And I think it should be compulsory, to not, to sort of the Australian extent that, yes, you're required to vote. You could send your thing back in. It's you're not going to get a huge penalty or anything like that, but you're required to vote. Send the thing back in. You can abstain. You just sign your name and don't fill anything out and send it in. There was one guy that got put in jail in Australia, after however many years. Some guy just kept refusing to do it. And they were like, look, just vote, dude. He's like, no, send me to jail. They basically sent him to jail, even though they didn't want to. But, I think it should be compulsory that people are signed up and be registered to vote, and you should just be done that way. And unpopular opinion, if we could spend $1 trillion a year on the military, I think we could spend some money on voting, and it should be a holiday. Honestly. And I honestly think it should extend way more than just one holiday. I think we should all be voting once a month. But then again, I also think a 4-day work week is a way better idea. So, maybe I'm a weirdo. But it is the year 2020, and we're supposed to have flying cars. So I will say maybe some of my ideas aren't that crazy when you realize, the ideas that have been implemented means that we never got flying cars. Does that kind of offset the oh, dude, this guy's crazy? Well, where's our flying cars? That's all I'm saying. Everybody acting like it's a big deal that SpaceX spent, billions and billions of dollars to get 2 guys up into space. We still don't have flying cars. Nathan Kotas just put 2 pots of Pogostemon stellatus octopus in a Fluval spec, 5-gallon, and it looks like a jungle of Pogostemon already. I don't know if I have the room for other plants. Aquarium Co-op is the beast. I know you said best, but I like to change it to beast. Aquarium Co-op is pretty much, in my opinion, the best one around. Obviously, they don't have every single plant around. I believe they're carrying 70 species now or something like that on a regular basis. They don't carry every single thing, so I do have to go other places to get other plants because they don't carry them. But the customer service is number one, supply is number one. I mean, come on, dude. You're going to get some plants and stuff for your aquarium? Like, why not go there? I don't know. Aquaseekin says, not ready for the Jetsons. Steve Beartyke says, robot maids. Yeah, like, dude, where's the robot maid? That's all I'm saying. Change Columbus Day to voting day. That's a good one. I think all of those holidays we should vote on. I mean, you could clearly do it ahead of time. You don't have to do it day of. A Danger Mouse Penfold says, hi all, British postal voter here. Having a ballot put straight through the door makes voting really easy. Why is that such a bad thing? Yeah, it's a bad thing because politicians that are terrible wouldn't get reelected. That's basically what it boils down to. And they oppose that kind of stuff being implemented. I'm not naming anybody specific. They run the whole spectrum. There's bad ones on all sides, and generally the bad ones are the ones that don't want mail-in voting or lots of people registered to vote. Tom Patterson says, couldn't sell alcohol on the 4th if we voted. They can't miss out on all that sales tax. Well, I mean, a lot of stuff's not open on the 4th. I wanted to order pizza, but they weren't open. So I don't know if that's an actual concern or not. You never know. Thomas Glazer coming in as a member today, which means we got to update our member count. We got to update our member count. Thomas Glazer coming in at the standard level. Do you guys know what that's all about? That's all about being at the standard level. So we go from 94 to 95, which puts us, we're getting to be close to striking range of hitting 100 members. So maybe we'll hit 100 members in 2020 again. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But thanks to all 95 people for helping support the show. And I will say this. I'm not going to give out, I don't have to be giving out exact numbers or anything like that. But we have gone down overall. Where did my thing go? Analytics. There it is. Overall, we've gone down by 42%. By some other measuring metrics, it was 46%. And by some other, I mean, like, it was 42%, and then it was 46% like a week or whatever later. So I guess that's the measuring metric, is like the timeline has gone farther. But I think we're slowly rebounding to like the 42%. I don't know. Let me see. This is impossible to do on the fly. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull this off on the fly. But, yeah, thanks, guys. And where's the percentage of... Hold on. This I can actually just look up. Wait, why? Oh, there it is. I have to click that button. Oh, it's a different button, guys. Ad revenue is about 20%. Yeah. So these 95 people right here account for about 80% of the revenue. So I guess that gives you an idea of just how awesome the advertising is now in the pandemic, even though YouTube's getting more views than they've ever had, and retention and all the stupid metrics that Google wants. They're just helping the creators out big time. You know what I mean? So whatever. Steve Beartyke says, I want to buy immersed plants online. Is it reasonable to ask sellers what they have in stock already 100% converted? I think it's reasonable to ask. I don't know that anybody will answer that email. I don't know. It's one of the reasons I recommend Aquarium Co-op, because whenever they can, they're going to have converted plants for you. But I don't think Corey guarantees that anymore, just because of volume, just a simple volume thing, like they're just able to not do it. And, yeah, so But I don't know that anybody will actually respond or not. That's kind of the question that I have is, I don't know. I get a free COVID pen this year in New Zealand for voting with. They just send you a pen. Okay, that's weird. Danger Mouse. I already read that. Darren DeRoos, is it possible to grow stem plants in a low-tech tank and not have the bottom leaves drop off, or should I just stick to epiphyte plants without CO2? It is possible, but low-tech tank, I would just continue trimming and replanting, and eventually, I guess like the best way to put it is that the plant will eventually convert to grow in your water, comparatively to its growing state before. Does that make sense? So let's say you got a plant and you're growing it in a really high-tech tank and you move it to a low-tech tank. It's going to have problems. It's going to adapt. It's going to do a bunch of weird stuff, but eventually you're going to have grown enough of the plant in the low-tech tank that you'll be able to only have the plant have been reproduced in the low-tech tank, so that's where it like wants to live. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but the environment that a plant is growing in, if you eliminate the rest of the plant that was grown in a different environment, there we go. Now we're kind of making sense. You will end up with a plant that has only been grown in that environment, and that's going to work the best in there, in that situation. Darren, Danikin, what's up, Danikin? What's going on? It says never hurts to ask. Yeah, I mean, it never hurts to ask. I just don't know if anybody would actually email back. So I try to be clear with everybody. Like, I don't know, dude. I recently got in some plants from, what's this place? I'm making a video about it, so you guys will see it at some point. Crap, I don't remember the name of, it's somewhere deep in my email. I don't remember the name of it, but it's just a small, one guy owns it kind of place, and I was pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with the plants, how they were packaged, all that kind of stuff. As far as I know, if you email him, he'll email you back, but I can't remember the name of the company, so who knows. But all the plants from him were grown submerged, so who knows. Here we go. Man, we got a new member. Already did that. Shenanigans. All right. Well, I think we're... Are we at a point? Are we at a point where we end for the day? I'm not sure. I don't see anything. Steve is asking, isn't planting immersed plants in an uncycled tank akin to adding waste? I mean, not necessarily. Plants aren't dependent on the cycle like fish and shrimp and snails and stuff like that are. Plants have a much higher tolerance for things like ammonia, like nitrite, that kind of stuff. Considering plants feed off of that, it's not as toxic to them. So generally speaking, my advice would be, if you have a tank that's not cycled, to utilize plants in an uncycled tank in order to cycle the tank. That will help kick off the cycle, keep things healthy for fish and stuff like that, and get things motivated in the tank. Now if the plants go in there and immediately die, then yeah, you pretty much have waste, and that realistically could be a problem. Aquaseekin says, I felt like I did my research on new fish arriving Wednesday. Just discovered the Congo tetras have teeth. Yeah, they do. Wow, this is the last minute realization of cause for panic. I wouldn't say, well, I mean, Congo tetras are pretty aggressive. So if you're putting them into a tank with something that they can fit in their mouth, they're going to eat it. Because any fast-moving... Generally speaking, all fish are predators, essentially. Some of them are predators for driftwood. Some of them are predators for algae. Some of them are predators for specific things. But most fish are predatorial in the fact that if it fits in their mouth, they're going to try to eat it. And if it's edible, it's eaten. So, yeah, but Congo tetras, I would anybody out there that's ordering Congo tetras and wanting to get them, just be aware they are aggressive and they will they'll basically just murk any fish that you got that can't hang with them, you know. Yeah, Congo tetras, you should be prepared to get those in. I wouldn't just accidentally buy some at the store and throw them in your tank and think everything's just going to be super chill. Bully Breed suggestions on a high output light for 150-gallon aquarium. Good enough for carpeting plants. I've got 4 Fluval 3.0s and they just don't penetrate the water enough. That sounds like nonsense because I have 2 Fluval 3.0s over 150-gallon. And that is plenty of light to grow whatever you want. So I'm not sure what's going on with your setup, but I have 2 3.0s. I grow carpeting plants, carpeting styrogini. There's so many plants in that tank. I'm having a massive brain fart. Diplotis deandra, which is a big pain in the butt plant, does fine. I really don't. I really haven't had really any problems with just 2 of those lights over 150 gallon. I would imagine that if you have 4, that's plenty of light. And I would look into whatever else it is that you're doing with your tank that's causing a problem. Good possibility that it could be the substrate, could be the water quality, to any number of things. Any number of things could be going on with your situation, but it really doesn't sound like to me like it would be the Fluval lights. I mean, I have 3 of the 48-inch Fluvals over my 240-gallon aquarium, and that's plenty of light. For Monte Carlo HC, oh man, I'm having a brain fart on the Stargrass. We'll just call it Stargrass. You know, there's a bunch of highlight plants in there. Whatever. That are just having no problems. There's really no problems. So I don't know what to tell you on that situation. I would imagine that if you went out and spent more money on some lights, you probably would have the exact same situation because it doesn't seem to me that light is the issue that you're having. All right. Seems like G-Bear has to quarantine again. Oh no. I'm not sure what happened. G-Bear, I don't know what happened there. Jediah Guil says, my Congo tetras live peacefully with my guppies and ember tetras. Just feed them well. Yeah, sounds weird to me because that's not really in the nature of Congo tetras, but just feeding fish doesn't typically make them like not aggressive anymore, but I don't know. Fish don't really have the I should stop eating thing. They really don't. Anyhow, I think that's going to be it for today. We've hit the 90-minute mark. I just want to give a big shout out to everybody out there in the world who came by today. And let's give a big shout out to our viewer activity of the day, which is just the Fish Tank Barn and Thomas Glazer. So keeping it simple on a Monday. You know what I'm talking about. Keep it simple. And shout out to everybody that came in and showed up in the chat today. I very much appreciate it. This live stream will generally go unlisted fairly soon. So remember to subscribe and hit the like button and the notifications and make sure the notifications are turned on and they actually get sent to you and blah, 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 all that stupid stuff. I'm supposed to say it at and during the video, so who knows What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up with that? Anyhow, I will talk to you all later because the mail just got dropped off, and I've got packages up there to go grab with things that could, spoil, I guess. I don't know.